You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AfterBuzz TV's Glee After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's Glee After Show.
Such a fun song. And, ooh, Roxy.
Oh, that was good.
That's pretty good. Ooh.
I surprised myself.
Well, hi everyone. We're here doing another Glee After Show for you all. This is season 5, episode 4, a Katy or a Gaga, if you couldn't tell from our opening song here. I'm Stephanie Wenger.
I'm Roxy Striar. Hello, everyone. I'm Marisa Serafini.
And we're missing out on Sarah tonight, but she'll be back with us next week. Let's start with the main thing of the night, Katy or Gaga.
I mean, the real question is, what are you guys, a Katy or a Gaga?
That was my question. That's what I just tweeted out to everyone. Are you a Katy or a Gaga?
Really?
Yeah, that's interesting because I'm not, I guess you don't have to say truest, but I like both.
Here's my problem. Love Katy infinitely more. Mm-hmm. I'm an absolute Gaga.
Okay. See, I feel like
I struggle with that.
I sometimes want to be a Gaga, but I'm truly a Katy.
But that's awesome. You gotta own what you are.
Yeah.
There you go.
I think
you have to pick.
Yeah. No, I'd probably say more Katy.
Yeah.
Because I think this episode they talked to Katy or Gaga more as personality-wise rather than performance-wise.
Right, right. It was definitely personality-based.
My other question for you guys is, did you feel like the people lined up on Glee the right way? We can go over that a little bit. Katy, the Katys of the night were Marley, Blaine, Sam, Artie, and Ryder.
Okay, those were the Katys being Gagas.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry, being Gagas.
So they're Katys
but
performing as Gagas.
Performing as Gagas, but their true personalities were in fact Katys. And on the Gaga side, we had Jake. Becky kind of identified herself as a Gaga, or Sam said she was a Gaga.
Well, Becky didn't know who neither Katy nor Gaga were, but we could put her in that clump.
Okay, Kitty, Unique, and Tina. So
I find it really hard that Tina is a Gaga. She's more timid, more quiet.
She self-identifies.
I mean, every once in a while she'll have her diva moments, and good for her. We always wanted her to finally have breakout moments, but I find overall as a personality, she's more of a Katy.
The reason that I could see her as a Gaga, although I don't disagree with you, the reason I could is because Gaga is known for pulling the Madonna and reinventing her image every so often. And if you think about where Tina started, she went from goth and the wing. She changes herself a lot. So I do see that part of Gaga. But in terms of her personality, the timidness, the girl next door kind of thing, she's definitely more Katy. She was a tough call. She could have gone either way.
See, and I had issues with Ryder falling into the Katy category. I didn't feel like he necessarily. I feel like sometimes he beats to his own drum a little bit. Like he's not.
No, I would put him as Katy.
I'd put him as Katy too.
Huh. All right. Well, that's an interesting.
I feel he's a softer kind of character. He's not really that bad boy.
I feel like he fought for the girl, but he lost out. I don't know. I just felt like he wasn't. Maybe artistically he's a Katy, but in some personality ways he's a Gaga.
I know the whole point of the Sam storyline in this episode is that he really is a Katy, but I had a problem with Sam being a Katy. He's so freaking weird and with his impressions and whatever. I think of Sam as a Gaga.
See, I didn't see a problem with Sam. We're gonna lay on different ends.
I love it always.
But tonight I feel like he's weird, but Katie's weird. It's not like Katie's just vanilla. She has a personality.
Oh, of course. I don't mean to say it like that at
all.
No. But she's not. Actually, I don't know. I was gonna say she's not as quirky, but her best friend is Rihanna, so there's gotta be some badass in there.
She dances on stage with Candy. I don't think of that as being necessarily bland. It's just
No, she's not bland. She's just, she's not the like crazy sexy. She's just so pretty.
Well, I think what
She
they
is
were
pretty.
aiming to get at tonight was are you commercial or are you in it for the art? And I thought that it was a little unfair to call Katy, in all honesty, commercial versus.
I don't think that's what they were saying.
Really, that's totally what I took from it, was that because that's what Kurt's. We'll get into this later on, but Kurt's storyline.
Right, but when the group finally decided that what they needed to be Katy was to be stripped down, I don't think that was commercial. I think that's them saying
More real.
her real, it's not all of these gimmicks. It's really her and like stripped to the core.
We watched separately tonight, so it's interesting to like come in here and have this total.
But I do see what you're saying. In a way, this episode didn't paint Katy in as high of a light as she should be painted.
That's what I felt like. I feel like we're talking about two equal artists here who just do their own different things.
Right.
So that was interesting to me that they kind of played. I guess in the end they were equals, but throughout the episode it kind of felt.
I find it interesting how they pitted Katy and Gaga against each other in this episode, especially when once, like a couple months ago, both of them had big singles that came out around the exact same time, and so there was that ongoing, like a little feud going on. And
the same week, yeah.
Yeah, they were released like within days, or if not the same day. Yeah. But having that already feud and then feeling that into this episode, it just got the results that they wanted.
If you're a Gaga person, you're a little monster. What are the Katy's people?
Katy cats, I think. Katy cats? I want to say they're Katy cats. But that being said, we should probably back up and explain that tonight's episode was all about these Katys and Gagas switching roles.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
Because they want to be able to be the best at nationals.
Yeah.
And beat Touch Tongue. What were they called?
They were called the
Throat
Throating Explosion.
I like Touch Tongue better personally, but Throat Explosion
whatever works.
Too.
A highly competitive Glee club.
I mean, that was a very Gaga moment of Tina there when she found out about Throat Explosion.
That was hysterical.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
I know, too funny.
So, but I really, appreciated in the episode that it was this kind of, they all kind of had this clear identity. I don't think anyone was like on the fence. I kind of wanted someone to be debating back and forth. I guess the closest we had to that was Marley, who.
But it was almost the opposite of that, though.
Yeah, it was, she clearly identified with Katy and didn't want to try to be a Gaga.
Right, and I would just like to point out the fact, I said this to Marisa, Marisa disagreed, but I would like to point out the fact that essentially Mr. Shu kicked Marley out of the New Directions for the week for not wearing a bra.
No, and
That's essentially what happened.
I didn't
He said,
see
you don't
it
want
like
to be
that.
Gaga, you don't want to be in your bra, you can't be here.
No, I didn't see it like that. I see.
It's not real. I
No,
get
I know,
it.
but like I see it as Will saying you weren't a team player. You didn't live up to.
Of
it's
course.
like you don't have to be in a bra, but you didn't agree to be a team player and just try to do this challenge with everyone else who's also doing it.
No, of course, it was just funny that after she explained what her costume was, and he was like, you didn't wear that. Well, now you can't be. It was just funny to me.
I totally picked up on what you were saying, but my whole take on it and what bothered me so much about her being suspended was that it felt like she did not follow the assignment, and obviously in high school you have to follow the assignment, but she was really being suspended for being herself. Like, she was trying to be who she was and stand up for herself, and that wasn't okay. And that is kind of a message that bothered me in tonight's episode.
If it had been pushed more that she was trying to be herself, but I felt like she was trying to, it wasn't about being herself and taking a stand. It was about not turning into the girl that her boyfriend wants her to be, you know?
Yeah.
So there was a little bit of a difference there, but I do see what you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I can see that she got punished for not getting out of her comfort zone. And some people are just afraid to do that, but like she wasn't, I guess, pushed hard enough to go against that.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
we're
which
talking
I
about the
find
girl-
is wrong because we're always like be true to yourself, and she was true to herself, but then she got punished for it.
You would think they'd be a little easy on her because we're talking about the girl who 1 year ago was sticking her fingers down her throat, you know? Like,
Seriously.
and now you found yourself a little more, and then they're like, well, here's who you are. Not good enough because that won't win nationals. So.
Yeah, she was standing up for herself in all kinds of ways in this episode, and we'll talk a little bit more about her relationship later on in the episode. But I thought we would switch things up tonight and actually go to songs because this episode was all about the Katy versus the Gaga. So
yeah.
Are you ready to jump in? There were only, I think, 4 songs tonight.
That was my biggest problem with the episode. I mean, you have these 2 iconic female stars, and you have a repertoire of, I don't know, 500 songs to pick from.
I was going to say so many radio hits that everyone can sing along to among these 2 artists alone.
And it was only the songs that are more relevant recently. Like, they've had years of songs and singles that have been humongous hits, and they didn't even go back.
Right.
They went within, like, the last few months.
I mean,
we have
covered.
We have covered some Katy and some Gaga songs, so I understand not recovering them. But come on, guys. You really, I mean, that's not us taking into consideration that this is the episode that they filmed after Corey. So, of course, it's probably really hard to get back in there. Maybe they wanted to cut back on the hours they were filming. But there were only 4 songs, and of those 4 songs, one of them was a cappella at first and no movement involved. So, obviously, that goes quicker to film. Yeah. So, I really needed 6. I needed 1 more from each team.
I felt like that, or something that, I know the end, the roar, we'll get into the specifics of all these songs in a second, but the roar was like supposed to be their group number, and I kind of, especially after the Corey episode, wanted another bigger group number. I don't know, maybe that was just something I was feeling like they needed. It felt like very divided for the episode following.
Right, I mean, roar definitely didn't do it for me, so I'm in agreement with you, but we'll get there.
So let's start out with, I believe Adam Lambert had the first song of the night, who is guest starring on the episode, and it's called Marry the Night, a Lady Gaga song.
So badass.
That was awesome.
Crushed it. Like, could not look away from the screen. Thought he was phenomenal. Loved his moves. Loved every part of him. Looked at him and was like, that's a rock star. Like, he is coming in hot.
I loved, like, musically, I thought it was a phenomenal song. His voice has never sounded so good. It was amazing. The only issue that I had with it was that I saw Adam Lambert. Like, I hadn't had enough of that character yet to know who Star Child was. And so I just felt like I was watching Adam Lambert. And I was like, oh, it's cool. Demi Lovato's with Adam Lambert. I had a hard time getting into those characters.
And not only is Demi with Adam, but they're also singing Gaga. So it was, like, bizarre. It was this whole group of celebrities that are coming into Glee.
Yeah, I agree. It was totally Adam Lambert because he literally just got right into the song. There was no backstory to him yet, or we haven't had any moment for his real name to like his real personality come out. And the performance was great. He was rocking it, like writhing on the floor and all that. But the interesting thing is, and I don't mean to jump really ahead, but the fact that he was so done up and it was such a great performance and a little bit of a gimmick and a little bit all for show. But the thing that really bothered me is that, like, the story behind it, that because it was such a great performance, Kurt still didn't like it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about that storyline in a second, but the fact that, I want more from Adam, I guess. I would love to see him pull it back and, like, do an acoustic something. He's so capable. Like, we've seen it on American Idol, and he does these over-the-top performances that are so Adam, but in this character, I think it would be interesting to see him take a different musical route.
I think for a performance for a big-name artist already, and to just kick off his character, that was a great number to start off with.
I couldn't agree. Yeah, I thought it was good.
Just on Adam Lambert, I was listening to him on the radio this morning because he was excited about coming on Glee, and their question to him was, who was the last person that he drunk dialed, and his answer was Uber.
Ooh, well, that is...
Just thought I'd throw that out there about Adam Lambert.
It's a good person to drunk dial, I guess. Or person, company. There you go. Moving on.
No, we are not rep by Uber. That was not a plug.
I was about to say a little plug there, but
good for
you know.
Uber.
And then we had applause. Moving on to the next song, sung by Sam, Marley, Artie, Ryder, and Blaine, obviously the Katys of the night, if you want to refer to it that way, and it's another Lady Gaga song in case you haven't been living on this earth in the last little bit.
If you were under a rock.
Yeah. Here it's applause by Lady Gaga.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead.
Oh, no, it was just good. That was awesome, my only nitpick, what the hell was Marley doing? I don't know. It could have been such an amazing performance from all of them. They killed it on the stage. But then to have Marley insert here and there, totally out of her place, that have ruined it.
Here was the problem. They were trying to ruin it by doing that, but what they didn't realize was it actually ruined it. So they put in Marley as a Katy in the Gaga scene, and it was a vehicle to the later on and what was going on. But that being said, the performance is now ruined. You know how you YouTube all these, whatever it is? The performance to me is ruined because she ruined it.
I mean,
although the rest of it was great.
Yeah,
you can't cut her out of it, too. That's the hard part.
It was extremely intentional. That's what I had written down in my notes. Like, it was obvious that Glee writers made that decision that it was not going to be a good performance. It bothered me so much because it had so much potential there that you wanted to love it. And I love that song, and I wanted to appreciate it, and I just felt underwhelmed. And I normally like when Glee makes something their own, and this just felt like, oh, it's not Lady Gaga.
What about Blaine? Because he just crushed it during that. Like, the whole look and everything. I mean, I felt so bad. These three guys are all dressed phenomenally, and we're looking at it, and they really transformed who they were, and they were giving their performance of a lifetime. And then you've got Marley, and I was just like, I get Glee. I get what you were trying to do, but you didn't just do it as a plot for the story. You actually ruined this part of the show for me.
And the thing is that had this been a standalone musical number, it would have been awesome if Marley wasn't in it, because visually it was cool. The lighting, the editing, it was so fast-paced and so high energy. Great performance from all of them. But then Marley was right in the middle of it and completely ruined it.
Right, right. I agree.
It made me sad. That was one of those numbers where I wanted to love it, and it was actually, I think, my least favorite of the night. It was sad for me.
But if you go back and listen to it, I'm sure it would be one of the favorites. But
the visual of it was painful. Yeah. Wide Awake, Katy Perry's song. This was, I think, one of the older songs, which is sad. It was out maybe last year. And it was Tina, Unique, Jake, and Kitty, who are
so 2012.
So 2012. But they took it. They are the Gagas, and this was my favorite number of the night, by the way. I love when Glee strips down and does something simple. And I know I can tell you have something else to say about it.
We're
on the same page.
There we go, baby.
I like it.
I was surprised that we were on the same page, but excited.
Yes. I loved this performance, and it reminded me, after everything with Corey, kind of reminded me of the pilot. That simple, kind of stripped down, like that, the final performance, the journey performance from the pilot. I don't know why it took me there, but that's what I wrote down. Yeah.
I almost wanted them to do the entire thing a cappella, because that opening moment, I was just like, it was breathtaking. And yes, I think it was still an amazing performance, and they kept the music light, and it did work. But it was just so stripped and raw that I didn't even need the music, to be honest.
Yeah, such a great job by them. And their voices are so amazing.
Have you seen Kitty do anything like that yet? Because I was shocked with her ability. I mean, Unique crushed it too. They all really did. They did an amazing job, but I was surprised with the emotions that Kitty was able to bring to surface, because we haven't seen that side of her that often. And I don't know, it reminded me of the moments when you loved Quinn, and it was just really great.
I feel like we're getting more of those stripped down moments from Kitty, because she's starting to become the nicer one because of Bree's coming into the picture, and she's being the mean one. So I think we're going to see more real raw moments from Kitty.
Right. We did news and gossip way earlier in the season about how way earlier, we're only a few episodes in the season, but earlier in the season, about how Kitty's character this year is making a strong effort to become a better person. And I definitely think that this is showing that. And another thing I like about Kitty's character is that she's very self-aware. She's like, oh, Bree's a horrible person, and that's coming from me. She can poke fun at herself, and she realizes who she was, and she's making an effort to change, and I think it's working.
Yeah, I mean, I think Glee does a really great job of balancing that line between being self-aware and being cheesy.
Right.
And she's a great example of that.
Right,
and the good thing about her character, she's actually genuinely sincere about it. So we feel that it's real. She really does mean it.
Yeah, and when you strip everything down and you think about high school, you know, high school is about finding yourself. You hear it all the time, like high school's about finding who you are, but it really, you know, it really is.
True,
And I think that she was a mean girl, and she then became aware of it, and she doesn't want to be that way anymore, and she doesn't have to be.
Yeah, it's true.
And now she's becoming a team player. You know,
I'm excited to see her arc this season. I hope she doesn't return to the mean girl.
Right.
I hope she keeps going on this path.
the point is though, just during the song, I saw the emotion in her, and it led me to believe that there's more to her than meets the eye.
And maybe we'll get that backstory. Who knows?
I hope so.
And finally, we have Roar, Katy Perry's newest, I think it's her newest single. Maybe there's a newer one now. But regardless.
She has newer ones that have just come out because she just went on tour.
Yes, that's true.
Walking on Air.
Roar is definitely one of those songs, though, the first time you hear it, it's amazing. And it was New Directions, Rachel, everyone in New York, kind of that everybody together number that I was looking for the entire episode. And I have to say I liked the New York portion of this.
Yes.
And wasn't such a fan of the McKinley portion for me.
I mean, it's hard to not like the New York portion of anything because they have Demi and they have Kurt and they have Santana and they have Rachel.
Yeah.
And now they have Adam.
Yeah.
So
they're making a powerhouse in New York.
So
for sure.
I'm pretty positive that it's almost impossible not to like any musical number they do. That being said, I liked 75% of this episode. The 25% of this episode that I didn't like was Roar. I just thought it's something I will go download because I love the song, and when I closed my eyes, it was great. But I don't know why they were so insistent on showing. I know the music video, why they were so insistent on showing all of these McKinley guys with their shirts off. It was like so out of place and unnecessary. Usually, I'm all for hot guys wearing less clothes, but
we talk about it all the time.
Right, it just seemed like a weird push, and I don't know. It was just. And that moment with Marley, I just was uneasy about the whole song.
I think like the whole jungle theme at McKinley, and I get that's the music video too, but I would have been fine if everyone, even at McKinley, was having fun. You know how some big musical numbers at the end of episodes, they're just on the stage having fun and singing. I would have been fine with McKinley doing that and then cutting back to New York because they're doing that. They're having fun. They're just by themselves performing. If it had been this consistent across the board, I think I would have enjoyed this last number more.
I agree with you. I felt like we kind of had a music video on one half and then like an organic moment happening on the other half, and they just didn't mesh to me in the best way. I did appreciate the vocals, though, I have to say. They did a great job of covering the song.
The best part of Roar was something that didn't actually happen, but was the potential and the fact that Roar was there, it caused them to do this, was absolutely, without a doubt, Jake's face paint. Because him being a lion was absolutely the best part of Roar that never happened during Roar.
Yeah. I know. I wrote that down too. I was like, I wanted everyone to be as dressed up as Jake was.
Yeah, I don't know. It just felt kind of flat, and this number is such a great number, and for Glee, it's so perfect. So I don't really know. I've tried to put my finger on it in different ways, but I can't exactly tell you why it didn't work, but I just think that it really could have.
I think the thing is, we saw Jake in his full-on makeup, that lion makeup, for a split second, but they didn't follow through with everyone else.
That, or the other thought that I had was, if everyone had gone big and had that over-the-top, like everybody's in the jungle and somehow made it fit in New York, and I don't even know how you could do that, but everybody going over the top or everybody being stripped down, for me it was the mix. Maybe
that's what it was, and the second I started to get into one, we were swapped out to the other, and I was like, oh, where am I?
And everyone's swinging on ropes that just happened to be there.
I
was like, the New York apartment had a rope too from the ceiling. What?
Duh, Marisa. Doesn't your apartment have a rope?
Well,
my apartment has ropes in every room.
I was gonna say.
I didn't know that was like
that's a thing.
A necessary thing.
Apparently it is, but
I gotta get one.
Let us know if you have a rope in your apartment or what you thought of all of these songs tonight.
Good segue. Thank you. That was good.
That was good. Because we want to know, are you a Katy or are you a Gaga? We all talked about it tonight, so you can let us know on iTunes, rate, comment, tell us what you like about the show, what we're doing well or not so well. We love hearing from you regardless, and we read them all, so it's
we love you guys.
Yes.
Our fellow Gleeks.
Thank you for commenting on YouTube. You guys are awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my
I
God,
know.
it's my favorite thing to
So
do.
many
Yes.
awesome
I literally
comments.
check every single day, if not multiple times a day, what people are commenting on the YouTube page.
That, and people tweet me like all how much they miss Glee and all of that, so it makes you
It's
feel
the
like
best.
it's the best. You guys are awesome. So
Gleeks.
woo.
Awesome.
Should we talk about Sam and Penny? Who? Okay, this is my issue with Sam
Sure.
and Penny. Sam and Penny. They're really like cute but creepy at the same time.
I mean, I just
Exactly.
think that if I was in high school and one of my guy friends was hooking up with our female school nurse, somebody would say something, and it's got to be illegal somehow because that's staff.
That's
So
he's a minor. She's an adult.
I mean, he might be 18. It might not be illegal because the age, but I just don't think in high school you're allowed to date somebody on
It's-
staff.
I think don't they have those rules?
That I mean,
Like legal
my high
rules.
school did. I can say that for
I
sure.
know mine did too.
Oh yeah.
I think every school
especially
does.
especially not hooking up in school.
Well-
I know people who have done it outside of school. It still makes it illegal, but it's a little more incognito.
I was gonna say
But the
behind
thing
closed
is,
doors.
yeah,
but
because they're
he's
so open about it in front of everyone too.
Yeah, he
Right.
was walking into the auditorium holding her hand. Mr. Shu sitting there, the entire Glee Club. I was just like, what is going on?
Maybe it's because she's not the actual nurse. She's like the assistant.
Intern?
and
Yeah,
I-
she's that fill-in nurse.
I
And she
don't
was putting
know.
her head on his shoulder while everyone's performing. I'm like, you're in the theater. Everyone can see you.
How old did we say she was a sophomore in college, right?
Yeah, so she's like 19, 20?
So the age difference isn't bad, but the actual
I think it's just the
situation,
situation.
right.
Yeah.
It makes me uncomfortable.
It makes
Yeah.
it made me a little creeped out, but we should back up and talk a little bit about how he is all about impressing her.
yeah.
Yeah, he thinks that she wants him to be a Gaga, be the wild bad boy, and in fact, we find out she's not so into that anymore.
Right. I mean, she talks about her ex-boyfriends a lot on the Nine Inch Nails concert and what she was doing and getting another piercing on her ear or whatnot. Why was she saying all of that?
I think she
wanted to be cool in front of Sam.
But if she wanted to be cool in front of Sam, she would have tried harder to go to his stuff. You know, she was like very hesitant to go to any of his
I
things.
wonder if deep down she's hesitant about what we were just saying.
You
that
think?
that she sees that it could be considered wrong. I don't know how you could if you're, putting your head on his shoulder in front
Right.
of other staff
Maybe
members.
it was a quick flip.
Yeah, but
I don't know.
It just was interesting, and I wasn't sure why. I mean, I know why Sam wanted to appear to be a Gaga for her, but I appreciated the fact that they both came clean. That they're both Katie's.
But I mean, when she saw the true Jackson in his
she seemed
locker,
appalled by that.
right? So
Yeah.
you would think she would thought that was endearing, but I don't know. It was just a little confusing about who she really is. I mean, by the end, we know that she's definitely a Katy, not a Gaga, and wants a Katy, not a Gaga.
Yeah.
But then, if you know that, looking back, she would like his quirky, sweet side.
I'm wondering if she has some other secret. She seems kind of too good to be true in some way, but I don't know what that secret would be yet. That hasn't really come up, or why she was trying to get him to be something he's not. It was a little unclear to me, and
Right.
and it all kind of got resolved very quickly, and they kissed and they were happy, and both Gagas happily ever after.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. It's an interesting one. I know that storyline's not done yet. I mean,
Yeah,
there
there's
has
just not
to
much
be,
more to it right now,
Yeah.
but we'll see more in the future.
Exactly. What there is more to is this new, I hate to call it a love triangle, but I guess a cheating, whatever you want to call it, Marley, Jake, Bree. So this episode was all about Marley standing up for herself. I know, I'm just powering through.
Moving on.
Yeah.
Go for it.
But standing up for herself, and we see that. I knew that scene at the end where she was like, I'm not ready to have sex with you. That was coming the entire episode.
Right.
I could
Yeah.
tell that that's where it was going. I mean,
Right.
Because we see the whole episode, she's too insecure about herself. She's still
Yeah.
insecure about herself.
I mean, I think
then-
not wanting to have sex with somebody, yes, it could be insecurity, but I definitely think it could be more than that.
And she doesn't want to be pressured, and that's understandable.
Right.
You're in high school.
But
Yeah.
typically, what was very interesting about the scene was typically when there are scenes like this where the girl doesn't want to have sex and the guy does, I'm like, screw this guy.
Yeah.
This girl's awesome. Like,
Yeah.
you should wait for her. But I kind of felt bad for Jake in this situation. And I also felt bad for Marley. But it wasn't like I was like, Jake's such a douchebag. It wasn't until he left
I was gonna
to
say.
find Bree. No, but, you know, I didn't feel like he was like, come on, let's just do it. You know,
No.
he's not like that in the
No.
way that I think that Puckerman was probably, or his big bro
Right.
would have been like. I do think that you should, when both people are comfortable, is the time that obviously something
Right.
should happen. But at the same time, I do think he's been very considerate of her feelings.
And he said that he's been patient. He's waited for a long time, and then he just wanted to explore it a little bit more. That was it.
I felt like, yes, in that particular moment, he wasn't pressuring her. But the fact that he was saying he was like, they were basically stuck in a rut the entire episode. And then to get out of that rut, he was basically proposing that they like go further.
I think they were in a rut, though, because of that.
Well, yes, but I think that there are other ways to get out of a rut than, you know, you're in high school. Like, try something else, go hang out with your friends, do whatever.
Right.
Like,
And also
right,
because
yeah.
we
right.
see
It's a good point.
we see in the episode Marley wants to do keep going to the breadsticks because this is a weekly routine thing. Marley's very set in her ways, and you can tell that Jake's tired of it. He wants to do something new.
Right, but I also think it's partially on Marley to be like, well, you know, she's naming all these ideas, things they always have. Why doesn't she says, okay, let's do what you want to do. And that's obviously what I want to do. So I think she should be like, listen, I don't feel comfortable with this, but if you want to do X, Y, Z, you know, like go to this, not a concert because she suggests whatever it is. Like she should sit him down and be like, what is it that you're looking for? Like, what rush kind of feeling do you need? But then again, there was that Bree thing, so I felt bad about it. But I'm kind of hoping that he talked to Bree and was like, I know what you're doing. Stay out of my way. I don't think that's what happened.
No, when you're asking to go to a private place.
A very private place.
And she was like, I don't want to mess up my uniform.
Well, then I'm hoping he didn't go through with it. I mean, come on, man. Like, Ryder's been on Marley's case about, like, being with her for so long because he's the good guy. And Jake finally proved that he was the good guy. And, like, I just want Jake to be that good guy.
Yeah, I mean, they've been in this love triangle for so long. You finally see them in this solid relationship. And he's going to go and in one night ruin it? I hope not. I hope, like, the, like, eternal optimist in me wants to believe he wouldn't do that.
Slash, like, who in high school he says if a girl doesn't let me in her pants in 30 minutes?
Yeah.
Really?
I mean,
is that like a thing? How long have I been out of high school
I was
for?
going to say, hopefully not.
Times have changed.
Yeah.
I guess.
Goodness.
Oh, don't like thinking
My
about
little
that.
sister's in high school.
Yeah, I remember Roxy's
Stay
very
away.
concerned.
All of a sudden, it's clicking.
Yeah. Jeez. Yeah, I don't know. It's just a relationship that I wanted to see a little bit longer succeed. Like, every time in any of these shows, you're going to have roadblocks. It's not going to be the perfect relationship. But if he truly went and did
Cheating's not a roadblock.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it is and it isn't. Like, a roadblock is forgetting that it's your girlfriend, your 2-month anniversary.
I was going to say, a roadblock, I agree with you 110%. But on a show like this, cheating could be a roadblock. It's not necessarily a deal breaker, where in real life, I think it leans more towards deal breaker, probably.
Right.
Maybe.
Probably.
Or a lot of times it doesn't, but typically it should.
Yeah.
I think the thing is, like, why Jake, immediately after all that happened with Marley, you go to Bree of all people.
I don't.
I mean, because she was hot and easy.
I mean,
Well, yeah,
you saw
definitely
her being, like, she was willing
But it's
to.
like,
I think he
not
knew
the
she
greatest
was willing
person
to go there.
to.
I mean,
I'm
Yeah.
sure during choreography or whatever they were doing, she made moves and he denied. But then he knew, kept her on the back burner or whatever.
yeah. I hope that we get a flashback of him not going through with this. Like, I hope that that's what's to come in the next few
Glee's
episodes.
good
That'd
at
be
surprising us, so you never know.
Yeah, I don't know. It'll be an interesting story to see.
And we do
where
have
it
that
goes.
moment with Marley and Bree at the very end where they're both watching Roar.
Yeah.
So maybe they're trying to trick us.
I don't know.
What
I
really
just
happened?
feel like Bree was going to whisper something horrible in her ear. That's like the thing I was waiting for, which is.
I got him.
No,
Yeah.
I felt like Bree was going to try to befriend her. Like, hey, girl, and then it would come
see,
out.
I thought she was gonna like drop a bomb on her, like that what happened last night.
Maybe you could be right.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It'll be interesting
with
to
you.
see. But we should get back to Adam Lambert, who it was his first night on Glee. He's got a multi-episode story arc.
Yeah, I thought he did a really great job. I liked seeing him in full-blown costume and then seeing him barefaced.
We haven't seen him barefaced,
Yeah.
or without makeup.
What is barefaced?
I was gonna-
Did he
without
have ears
strip
on?
down.
without stage makeup on.
Right.
I mean, I guess he had makeup on. It's a TV show, but without the like heavily staged makeup. In so long, I feel like it's been at least American Idol type time. I haven't seen him in years without.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
This was
Yeah.
an interesting storyline though, because I don't really, still to this day, I don't really understand why. To this day, I only watched it today.
I
To
was
this
gonna-
minute,
yeah.
I don't really understand why Kurt didn't want him on the show, want him in the band. I know that Kurt was trying to be normal and he was trying to be commercial, but I think that when you look at Kiss, look at what you know, they're huge successful bands with frontmen like that.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of goes back to our first point of Katy versus Gaga. When I was saying commercial versus, artistic, they're both artistic and they're both commercial. I don't think you can really argue one way or the other. And that's a good point in terms of Kurt, that you can be that over-the-top artist like Kiss or like Lady Gaga and still have huge commercial success, financial success, any type of success you want.
Right.
I mean, yeah.
The thing I find it seemed a little out of character for Kurt, because we know that Kurt's very flashy too, and he likes putting on a performance.
But the whole
And
point was that he
whatnot.
doesn't want to be like that anymore.
Exactly, but that was the thing, because this whole big switch that he doesn't want that, I found it hard to believe.
I wanted the reason behind it. Like I know he thought that his friends were having more success auditioning or what have you, but that's who he was, and he was bullied for it, and all of these things he's overcome, and then to forget about it because you think you can get some commercial for cereal?
He had a weird line, and it was like, there's nothing wrong with doing something because you want to be liked. Which, first of all, I kind of disagree with. And second, I don't fully disagree with, because, like, if you asked me to get you a cup of water and I did it because I wanted you to like me, there's nothing wrong with that. But changing who you are because you want to be liked?
I think in high school, I mean, I know they're in college now, but I think at that time frame, I think people do that. I think that's a realistic.
Absolutely.
But should you do that? Absolutely not. Like, it's better to be who you are, but I think you're still figuring out who you are at that age, so it's easier to be like, well, maybe I'm this person, maybe I'm that person.
But that's exactly what you just said, which is why it confused me. You say that you are figuring out who you are. I feel like Kurt has already figured out who he is.
I agree with you in this case.
We're definitely retrovert. Like, this, it wasn't necessary to me to have Kurt question himself. Although I do get it when you are graduating from high school and your friends are having more success than you are, and you're wondering, am I talented? Can I make it here in New York? Whatever.
Yeah.
I understand in questioning yourself, but like you said, he overcame so much. It just seemed to me like, I don't really want to go down this road again.
I wanted him to. I hope that what happens with this band is that he is now accepting that he should be himself, but kind of by the end of the episode, we see him be like telling Starchild that he should be who he is, and I assume Kurt will be who he is, and somehow they'll find success as this band being individuals and who they are.
What's the deal with this band? Because we've got 5 members of the band. They all sing. They're all kind of powerhouses.
I was going to say, and Demi Lovato, if that's her role in the band, playing guitar with some minor vocals, you're not utilizing Demi Lovato to her full extent.
Right, absolutely. So I am curious to see how that plays out.
Yeah.
But curious is a good thing, you know? Like,
Yeah.
I said that with a frown on my face, but I meant, like, I'm curious, you know?
I mean,
But you can think about it, that's going to be an awesome group.
it's
Like,
almost
they're
like
all so
girl
amazing.
band meets boy band. Has there ever really been, like, a cross?
Or has there ever really been a very successful group where there's everyone's like as
I was
they
gonna
have
say,
their
you
own
have 5
solos
lead
throughout?
singers.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty crazy.
Right,
in
that
itself.
I feel it's very rare for groups to be successful because
Do we?
they all have that equal talent.
Yeah. I mean, do we think of Kurt as a lead singer?
I think he can hold his own. We've seen him sing. I don't know if he could maintain being like the front man of a band. That's a tough call. I don't think we've seen him jump into that role yet. Maybe. You definitely have other people who can front a band.
There's no shortage of frontage.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes.
I think I'm clever sometimes.
But it's cool indie band.
I was gonna say that is the most, when they were describing, I think it was Adam Lambert said, "Oh, I want to be in an indie band," and I was like, is that really considered an indie band? I had a hard time.
Like, what makes something an indie band?
That was his artist bucket list.
I was gonna say
be part of an indie
that
band.
was one of those things where, as I said earlier, Adam Lambert and Demi, I thought of them as Adam Lambert and Demi, and once again, in this band being an indie band, you have like multi-platinum artists
I wanted
singing
it to
together.
be called Apocalyptics. Why not? That was good.
Submit to the Glee writers.
I know.
But what they go with Pamela Lansbury.
Yeah. Which, like, okay.
Yeah.
It was
alright.
clever a little bit, but I kind of wanted more of a knock out of the park.
Yeah.
I agree. Should we talk about Sue and everything going on back at
right.
McKinley?
I mean, we're just at war again, so I'm happy about
But that's
this because
so Sue.
yeah,
She stirs the pot.
I'm happy about it because we haven't seen a Will Sue war in quite some time. We've seen many ones, but now it seems like Sue's on the prowl.
Well, I think the other thing that kind of thrilled me about this return to like Mean Sue was that I know I should be sad that she suspended the Glee Club for a week because
those were bogus accusations.
But
I mean,
luckily
are you
we don't
kidding
see
me?
them for a week.
Yeah.
But I just got to talk about that, like suspending Glee for dressing up like that. When we saw at the very beginning of the episode, Bree walks into her office wearing nothing but really caution tape. She showed more skin than the Glee group in total. And then, really?
Marisa,
Really,
you're
they
talking about
allowed
somebody
that
who
happen?
she then suspended the band members. They were all in
Yeah.
jeans, so you're
It-
not talking about a
it's
rational
it's-
person.
I know, it was just so frustrating.
I couldn't agree with you more. I was not happy that she did that. But the one thing I can say is I think we've talked about it on this after show. I know I've read articles about it that people always talk about, oh, how are they doing Rocky Horror Picture Show and all these things. How is that appropriate for school? And so I don't know if this was like their little like nod to that, like that, like, look, we noticed that this couldn't actually happen. That was my one
But
little.
we still did it.
You know what I have to say that? LOL. That's what I feel like saying.
Yeah, I
LOL.
mean, I don't know. I mean, that was my one thing. It wasn't realistic at all, but I was just like, maybe the Glee writers have gotten wind that people realize this isn't a realistic scenario. But then again, they've had like water on stage. I mean, they do crazy things on Glee.
Right.
They don't live in like a normal high school environment, and I think they're aware of that. It's season 5.
Other than
Yeah.
Sue, the other mini character storyline that I wanted to mention, so we see Kitty and Artie together, and Becky seems to have a few punchlines in this. She says, I had Artie first, bitch.
Yep.
I die when Becky talks. She's too cute.
Amazing.
But so Kitty and Artie are still going strong, I guess, and Becky's a little jealous.
I know. I hope that we get more of Becky's amazing one-liners because they're
And her-
some of my favorites.
Oh my god, the thing
And
about the
her
handy tonight.
reactions, too.
She's like,
Yeah.
I don't give handies.
Yeah.
We don't
Oh,
really
there's so
know.
many good lines. And also Becky's reaction too when Bree was in the office and like they kept the camera on Becky's face for the longest time. She was like in such disbelief what Bree was wearing. So was I, but that was just so funny.
Yeah.
Becky's kind of taking over that one line thing.
The Britney thing.
Yeah, the Britney
Yeah.
thing. And I was going to say, I thought we would miss Britney. I still miss Britney. But,
duh.
I mean, duh, of course. But, it is nice to see Becky getting, I feel like, a little bigger role in some ways. I feel like it's
Her
expanded.
attitude is definitely coming out.
Yeah.
Attitude
She's
and
very
personality.
good, and she's funny, and we love to watch her, and we love Becky, even though she's mean. And if she was anybody else, we'd be like, you're mean, but it's Becky, and we love her.
And
Yeah,
Mini Sue.
it's
Mini Sue.
amazing. News and gossip?
I hear you have a bundle for us.
Yeah, I
TV
do.
News.
Little
So I
Birdie told me.
I know. I was a little mention it here. So I'll start off with the big ones, which is Glee on the move? It's a big question.
On the move.
On the move. So multiple sources this week have been talking about the kind of the future of Glee. We know, we talked about it I think in the last episode, that season 6 is of course the last season of Glee.
Yeah.
And there's a big question as to whether the show will continue at McKinley, move to New York exclusively, or kind of another possibility that keeps getting brought up is Kurt moving to Russia. Just so you know, Chris Colfer is not actually going to move to Russia. Regardless,
That happened to be my question.
that was the question I got when I came in today. But I guess what they're planning to do is film all of this in LA. Regardless, they film most of the New York scenes in LA as it is. So they would continue to film, I believe it's at the Paramount lot, but then have more exterior scenes. I don't know if Chris Colfer would have to go for a bit to Russia. They want to deal with the political climate there and the, yeah.
Why? Why do we think that they're trying to tackle this right now?
I
I think we tackled it enough already.
well, I mean,
And they don't need to go out.
Russia's going to be a big story this year with gay rights because the Olympics is happening
Right.
there, and the Olympics
Right,
are
I'm just
happening there.
wondering why. I think that they're biting off a little more than they can chew.
I agree with you, and
By sending him by himself?
I think that what's really charming and great about the show is that they deal with these big issues, but in a small way. Like, it's how it affects this one McKinley, or now New York and McKinley, and this specific group of people.
Right.
To send a character away, I don't know that that's benefiting anything. I understand why this is such an important topic, don't
Right.
get me wrong,
Yeah.
but I think
I
that
absolutely agree.
but it's something that I don't know if it fits into this show. I think there's a better way of addressing it outside of what started out as a family, like, musical show.
Right.
Yeah,
I agree.
Getting into the
You said it
politics.
perfectly.
yeah. But how would you feel about the show just being in New York?
I don't know. I feel like, how are we gonna get everybody there? Does that mean we're gonna lose characters, or does
That's
everybody
why.
graduate and just go there?
Well, Kristen DeSantis from E! Interviewed Becca Tobin, who, of course, plays Kitty on the show. And she talks about that it's a little, like, scary to think about that happening, because I guess she wouldn't know the future of her character, of course,
Right,
at McKinley. But she says, I kind of hope it is, because, you know, the whole Russia thing is pretty controversial, and I think we on Glee are the people who really touch the subject. So she's still talking about Russia,
Right.
but obviously in New York as well.
Right.
I
So-
think that's just improbable. Everyone just ends up in New York.
Yeah.
Because with college, you know people, that's when people separate.
It's just so unrealistic that everybody from Ohio picks up and moves to New York.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I agree with you.
We weren't able to do it with Mercedes. We weren't able to do
Mercedes
it with
went
Puck.
to LA,
We weren't
Mike
able
went
to
to
do-
Chicago.
We weren't able to do it with a lot of characters that were the originals. So are we really going to be able to do it with all this new wave?
Yeah, maybe it rings back to what we were saying, that the musical numbers are so amazing in New York and they know it, and they're like, we have this strong cast there now. Why don't we focus? Because we only get to see them for a portion of the time. I don't know.
I'm curious what the contracts of these actors look like then.
Yeah, because
Are they
I
in
don't know.
2 years?
How,
Are they in 3 years? Are they?
I
2
don't
years?
know.
2 more years.
I mean, I would assume that most of the time, at least the originals signed on for
3. Oh, they signed on for the whole thing.
I think that most contracts are. Well, it depends on the contract.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm just curious because
Usually at least 6
I
7
I wonder if Glee will be able to kick some of these people, or whether they will be able to turn it down if they don't want to film.
or renegotiate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we can talking about contracts and spin-offs and all good things. Leah Michele, it's rumored, this is a big rumor, we have not confirmed this, that Leah Michele may get a spin-off from Glee. So, continuing on, what do you think?
I wouldn't be surprised. Obviously, she's. Arguably, she's the biggest thing that came from Glee.
Yeah.
You know, her
Yeah.
career is taken off. And I think that, yes, she could do movies, absolutely, but I think she really loves television. For somebody who came from being in plays, you want to work every single day and
I was
have
going to say, the
something.
consistency of TV
Right.
is pretty amazing.
So
as an actor.
I think she really appreciates that, and I think she loves the character Rachel Berry. So
I agree with you, and I feel like it would be really fun to see her in New York more and focus on her on Broadway, which I assume is what the show would be about,
Right.
and her struggles and all of that. But
On
are we
Broadway.
would that be a Smash part 2? That's my one like, I love Smash. Don't get me, I love
Smash.
but I don't know that I want to
what you mean.
see Rachel
maybe
Berry.
Rachel Berry does LA.
That would be really fun. That would
get
be
into the film industry.
Yeah.
I think if Rachel got her own spinoff, because she's mostly based in New York, I feel like everyone who's already in New York would probably be on the spinoff. Had they go that way, they would.
I don't know about
split
everybody, but a good
or at
amount.
least, yeah, a good amount. I mean, I
That
can see
wouldn't happen
Kurt
until
being on the
after season
spinoff.
6, right?
I guess not. No, I would assume they'll do some sort of backdoor pilot. That's normally the way that these things work. Sometime in season 6, and then it would continue on. And talking about the end of Glee, Matthew Morrison talks about that he believes Glee will end with a bang. He says, Ryan Murphy always has a very high concept of what he wants to do. I think he'll probably want to end the show with a bang, with something really special and different. I think it's going to be special no matter what it is. And I think it's going to be something that we haven't seen before and completely different.
A lot of pressure.
A lot of pressure. And it's interesting because Ryan Murphy talked about that he knew how this show was going to end with Finn and Rachel. The last scene, he had it in his mind already. So he... I would imagine, has changed and is probably figuring out with the Glee writers how it's going to end now. So to say that with all of that going on behind the scenes is so much pressure. Yeah, so lots coming up on Glee.
Could I just say one thing?
Yes.
I think a better headline would have been if Matthew Morrison said the series finale of Glee is
Oh, that's really sad.
No, because that you expect it to be good.
It's true. I mean,
I think he would get shunned if he said that.
I think Ryan Murphy would have him
No, but it's funny to me how that's the head. I don't know.
Even if the second part was just kidding, I think people would only read the headline. And
But I think that was good on Matthew Morrison's part to say that it's something exciting and should be something to look forward to. Because we know, like you said, we know how Ryan was going to end the show, and that completely changed. And so we're all thinking, because unfortunately Corey's gone now, that the ending's not going to be as great as it should have been. Yeah. But Matthew saying that it's going to be great, it gives us something to look forward to.
I mean, we've seen 5 years of Ryan Murphy's genius. I don't think we can question at this point that he's going to come up with something interesting and cool, especially if there's this spin-off. I think that'll be a game changer in the way the show ends.
I don't think it will be too hard to end the show because it's not like Lost where you have this major question they need to answer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's more like Friends where you just kind of need to wrap up all the character stories. You don't have to answer this big, overwhelming question.
Yeah, I hope that just, comes together in some sort of, I always like to say a neat bow, but I know people don't like perfect endings, but I kind of do.
Yeah, especially for Glee. I mean, it's such a family-friendly show. We kind of expect a happy ending.
Yeah. Should we briefly go into predictions now that we've talked so much about the very end of the show? Maybe a few predictions for right now?
And now, your AFTERBUZZ TV predictions.
Can you guys twerk?
I am not a twerker.
When the time calls for it.
I was going to say.
I think Marisa can twerk.
I was going to say, maybe next week we need to.
I know Phil can twerk. Oh, yes.
Oh, Phil, can we get a twerk from you next week? There's going to be some twerking on Glee.
Twerk.
Yes.
Man, we'll find out.
And because our other co-host is not here, she has to twerk as punishment.
Yeah.
I agree. I think it'd be interesting to see.
Sarah.
I think because next week we know the title is called End to Twerk, we're definitely going to see twerk-offs.
I mean, we also have Miley in there because they're doing Wrecking Ball, so there's definitely going to be twerk in that and Blurred Lines.
I was going to say,
definitely twerking.
Blurred Lines, yeah, they're really going for, the VMA performance right there.
Blurred Lines.
Blurred Line is so old now.
That's the problem.
So overdone.
It's so old. It's from this summer.
It's so old.
It's 3 months
It's
ago.
not that it's so old. It's just it's so overplayed, and I loved Blurred Lines when it came out. It crushed, but
I'm
after 4,000
I'm
times,
so over Blurred Lines.
Right.
That's
already,
what
though.
my issue with it is that the first good number of times I heard it, I loved it. And then I was just like, I can't listen to the song anymore.
But we see that Kitty's teaching them how to twerk, and that Sue wants to end the twerking, and that even Will starts twerking, and something about Becky joining in.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting episode for sure. I hope.
I mean, in New York, then we see tattoos being got by Rachel and Kurt.
I'm wondering if it's going to be just a crazy, forget your inhibitions kind of episode. I don't know. That's what it feels like with the tattoos and the
I would
the
be
twerking.
so down with that.
And we see Will sing he finally gets a really good performance next.
I know. We haven't seen Mr. Shu in a bit.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to his breakout number.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for watching. You can find AfterBuzz on Twitter at AfterBuzz TV, and you can find me at Stephanie Wenger.
At Roxy Striar.
And at Serafini TV.
Thanks again, guys. See you next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later, Gleeks.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.